Jose Arroyos is a 14-year-old male 8th grade student at Fulbright Junior High. His date of conferences ranged from April 15th of 2017 to April 23rd of 2018 for his most recent evaluations. For the intellectual cognitive test, he took the TONY 4, which is the test of nonverbal intelligence. It's a word-free assessment that measures the cognitive abilities of people from ages 6 to 89, and it measures problem-solving skills. This was administered on August 30th, 2017. His overall score was an 18, which was in the 14th percentile and is in the below average range. His general intellectual ability fell within the below average range, which means his cognitive abilities are below average compared to his same age peers. He also took the WISC 5, which is the Wechsler Intelligence Scale, and it assesses the cognitive thinking and reasoning skills of children between the ages of 6 and 16. So it gives a composite score for intelligence as well as subtests that represent intellectual functioning. His nonverbal intelligence score was a 45, which is in the extremely low range, and it means that his cognitive abilities are much lower compared to his same age peers. And all of his subtest scores fell within that extremely low range. He was also given the Kaufman Test of Educational Achievement, 3rd edition, or KTEA 3, and it measures academic achievement in reading, math, and writing skills. His reading composite score was a 40, which fell in the very low range and in the 0.1 percentile rank. And his math composite was also 40, which was in the 0.1 percentile range and very low range. His written language was also a 40, which fell in the very low range. His letter and word recognition, or his ability in the letter and word recognition for recognizing letters, letter sounds, and words was overall in the very low range, and that was also true for his math and written skills. For behavior, he had the ABAS 3, which is the Adaptive Behavior Assessment, and it assesses behavior skills that are needed for successfully caring for himself and responding to others and meeting environmental needs at home, school, and in the community. For his parent rating, he scored an overall 72, which was in the 4th percentile and in the low range. And for his teacher's overall score was a 65, which is in the 2 percentile rank and in the extremely low range. So when performing social skills, Jose's parents' rating fell in the below average range and his teacher ratings fell in the average range. His ability and practical skills fell in the low range for parent ratings and the extremely low range for his teacher ratings. So overall, the general adaptive composite score for his parents fell in the low range, and for the teacher it fell in the extremely low range. And although Jose has average social skills at school, his conceptual and practical skills fall in the extremely low range. He also took the developmental profile, or DP3, and it assesses a variety of skills, including large and small muscle coordination, strength, stamina, and flexibility, and his motor skills. His composite score for general development was a 40, which was in the delayed range. So he also had for speech and language, he took the Goldman-Fristow Test of Articulation, 2nd edition, and it assesses the ability to articulate consonants in single words in the initial, medial, and final positions. And his overall score was a 40, which is in the 1 percentile range and in the severe delay range for scores. And it indicates that Jose's articulation is severely delayed when compared to his same age peers. And he had several errors and substitution errors in the initial, final, and medial positions in words. He also took the expressive one-word picture vocabulary test in Spanish for Spanish bilingual 4th edition, and the receptive one-word picture vocabulary test for Spanish and bilingual. And his scores for receptive vocabulary was a 54, which was in the 1 percentile and in the severe age equivalent range. And his expressive vocabulary was a 37, which is also in the 1 percentile or less than 1 percentile range and in the severe age equivalent range. So his results indicate a severe language delay. He correctly identified 25 pictures in English, which was 93%, and 2 in Spanish, which was 7% for his receptive vocabulary score. For his expressive vocabulary score, many of his responses were unintelligible, so that resulted in it being unknown if some of his responses were correct. He also took the Contextual Probes of Articulation Competence, Spanish, or CPAC-S, which assesses articulation and phonology delays in Spanish. And it says that this test was attempted to measure Jose's articulation ability in Spanish. However, the evaluation was unable to be completed due to his inability to independently name stimulus items. He also took the OWLS-2, which is the Oral and Written Language Scales, and it measures language competency, including the ability to understand and produce connected language. So his overall score was a 40, which he scored a 40 in listening comprehension, oral expression, and the oral language composite, and that fell in the deficient range. Overall, I agree with all of the testing results administered to Jose. Because these tests were done 2 years ago, I would be really interested in finding out what his reevaluation results will be, which should be administered next year, because that would be upon the 3-year mark for administering the psychological evaluation. Thank you.